Second sound check here. We're going to get our Instagram popped up, and then we're going to roll. So just stay on if you're here for a second. Just relax. All right. We're going to join it. It's going to happen soon. Hang tight.
You're listening to Smashing the Party. This is your host, Nate Bomberger.
Why don't I have sound here, folks? I'm going to have to figure that out. But welcome to the party. My name's Nate Bomberger. I'm your host for Smashing the Party. This is Nightcap. I had it first before Shannon Sharp stole this shit. But tonight, I'm calling this one, Where's the Party At? And the reason I'm calling it Where's the Party At is I got people in my inbox, left, right, middle, center, libertarians, fucking Republicans, Democrats, libtards, all in my inbox asking me to talk about certain things. And I do take requests, by the way. But tonight, I had several requests, and I was going to try to fulfill them. Ken, I'm looking at you. I know you're an avid listener. You don't miss a beat. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Ken, who is adamantly opposed to pretty much everything I stand for, as it seems. But he watches this show every fucking time. He doesn't miss a show. He always comments on my inbox, and I know he doesn't agree with anything I say. He often belittles me in my inbox. I take it, Ken, you do belittle me. But I heard your request, and the request coming from this gentleman was that he wanted me to go through line by line each website and talk about their policy. And while on the surface that sounds like a good idea, I've done many explanations of the Republican platform as it stood. It now is refreshed, and I went to the website and looked at the Republican platform. That's listed if you go to donaldtrump.com and you look at the bottom, scroll down past the one-liners, you get to the Republican GOP platform agenda. And it's a 16-page document. And it's fucking written by a political consultant that just has the slogan of what the policy is. So there's no details there. We know what they stand for. The idea that you go to somebody's website and you're going to decipher or define something that's going to define them as a candidate, it's total shit. I have never gone to Kamala Harris's website. I have not. I have gone to Donald Trump's website. But this request is a valid request, and some shots were thrown saying I don't debate and I don't listen and this is an opinion show and my podcast sucks. All those things being said, yo, it's brutal out there. Even your biggest fans say fuck you all the time. I swear to God, you got to have a thick skin. And I've only got 60 fucking YouTube, 58, 2 dropped off, 2 motherfuckers unsubscribed to me on YouTube. That's okay. We know we got a 5-year plan where we're okay to have less than 100 or 1,000, whatever the fuck it is. But anyway, where's the party at? So that's the question I have to ask when someone says, let's debate policy. Because one of the hardest things to debate is somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, or somebody that's basing all the things that they're identifying as facts on falsehoods. It's impossible to debate somebody that doesn't know the facts. It's just impossible because you can't use facts against them. And if they don't know the facts, they can deny them, ignore them. And in their minds, since they don't know the facts, they don't exist. And so trying to plant a fact in somebody's head is so fucking difficult. If it were easy, I swear to God, everyone would be doing it and we wouldn't have a question about whether we're not electing Donald Trump. But I hear the concern. It's like I come on this show and I bitch and complain and moan about Trump, and we rarely get to talk about policy. However, I'm going to call that out and say that's bullshit. I actually went through a whole thing on Finland homelessness. I've talked about healthcare. I've did a whole special on healthcare in Japan. I've talked about prisons. I've talked about the justice system. So to suggest I don't talk about policy, maybe I don't talk about it in legislation terms that you might appeal to you, but I'm not trying to fucking appeal to you. I don't believe there's people that listen to me that are going to be convinced when they're so stalwartly in my inbox suggesting I'm wrong about everything. I don't see that person as someone worth trying to convince. I do engage, and I appreciate the engagement, Ken. I really do. I sit there. It's fun for me. I know it probably frustrates you. But when I have these folks that engage this way, I'm challenged because I understand their perspective. But then I have to take a step back and say, okay, where am I going to start here? How do I start? Do I start with education first, which sounds condescending? Condescending? Is that a word? Why is that word escaping me? Anyway, the condescension that comes off when I take that approach, I know, I get it. And I've already got that aura that people say, oh, you're cocky because of how I carry myself. It's been kind of slapped on my back at jobs. People that work with me think that, when the opposite is true. I'm overly thinking about everything else and how to kind of walk through this life without being a complete imbecile. But I tend to feel that challenge is just way beyond something I can do in this show. And that's convincing somebody that's that far gone. Now, there are people that watch this show that were convinced and that have changed their votes. Maybe 4 people that I can think of off the top of my head. And all the time I've been doing this have come to me and said, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to brag about those 4 people forever because that, doesn't typically happen from a show. And these people say one person was going to register to vote. The other 3 said they're going to switch their vote. They can't do it anymore. So I know that there's things that I say that somehow pierce through that veil. But when it comes to competing policy and talking about policy and doing a line-by-line comparison, it doesn't even make sense because when you go to the Trump website, it's literally just lines of things that he says all the time at his campaign. So there's no real gruff there. There's nothing deeper to dig into. And again, it's 16 pages. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean that the GOP doesn't have policy platforms. I'm going to go through just because I want to kind of check the box that I talked about policy for this gentleman who is a fine gentleman who subscribes and literally professed and admitted that they haven't missed a show because I checked them on it. I don't know if he's missed a show, but certainly he makes sure to check in and attend, and I appreciate it. And so I want to at least address it and say, hey, Ken, I hear you. Oh, don't tell me this thing went off. Oh, okay. Oh, I hear you. But it's just tough to fucking do. But we're going to do it. So today what I've had my team of researchers do is I've had them put together at least a dossier of some policy comparison. I looked for 10 different issues that I could compare and talk about. And I'm not going to go into too much depth, but it comes down to kind of philosophical ideology and how you believe people should, how, in my opinion, the biggest difference between Republicans and Democrats is the social contract that we live in. And Republicans get really antsy when you start talking about social contract, even though they fucking are part of this contract, whether they like it or not. The social contract is a construct that suggests if you're a member of a certain community or society, there's a social contract that you have. For instance, one of them that we all know, you don't kill your people, right? You don't kill your fellow man. That's a social contract that we all kind of agree on. Murder is not okay. I watched some serial killer shit recently, and we're not all psychopaths, so we don't just kill people, right? That's a really vague but very specific, it's a very specific yet kind of generalized social contract. There are other things that become more nuanced, but part of it is actually that you're part of something larger than yourself. That's the biggest thing about social contract. that somehow is lost on Republican policies. And I'm just going to go through. For instance, let's just talk about healthcare. Healthcare is something that the Democrats have leaned in on and said, hey, healthcare should be provided for all. They still haven't done it, to their demise and much to my chagrin. They have not been able to do anything on the healthcare front since Obama. And the only thing that's happened on the healthcare front has been them kind of taking away the pieces of the Obamacare that were supposed to work. For instance, the individual mandate, which was something that was come up in the Heritage Circle, this think tank trust that created Project 2025, also came up with one of the components in the ACA or Obamacare, which was the individual mandate. They needed some mechanism to force people into it or penalize people because they needed to have a large pool in order to create this. That's how the fucking math works, folks. So on healthcare, Democrats have led the charge in providing more healthcare and more benefits for people. For instance, the pre-existing condition doesn't exist in other countries. Republicans were fine with that pre-existing condition nomenclature. Fought against Obamacare, one of those, and then they had, once Obamacare passed, they stripped the mandate. But pre-existing conditions were a thing. They shouldn't be a thing. You're born with something. Oh, now you can't be insured. It's fucking foul as fuck. And other countries that have public health care, first world countries, don't even understand what the fuck a pre-existing condition is. They don't even understand why we have PCPs and all these fucking weird ass middlemen between us and our doctors. It's not the way fucking health. It's because there's so much money in healthcare that you've got everybody taking a slice. That's it. That's the fucking U.S. healthcare system. I'm not talking about the health. I'm not saying that doctors aren't good in this country. I'm not saying our healthcare isn't great in this country. I'm saying how it's funded is so fucked up, and how they create these barriers for people to actually get claims is crazy. You know this. Everyone that lives in this country knows how shitty our healthcare system is. Navigating through it, all the paperwork, all the bullshit. God forbid you call an ambulance. For Christ's sake, you could be out. You could be out in the streets. Literally, in America, an ambulance can cost anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000 for a trip. One fucking trip. One little call to the ambulance, and boom, $10,000. Bullshit. It's insane. So that's the climate we live in, right? And so if you're talking to people about healthcare and they say, "Oh, everything's fine, we don't need to change anything," you're just, it's stupid. It doesn't make sense to talk to that person. They don't understand the system, or maybe you have to help educate them about the system. But if they live in this system, they have any relatives over the age of 40, they probably know somebody that had some kind of infliction or had to deal with the healthcare and how shitty it is. So on healthcare, Republicans are MIA. There's no Republican idea for how healthcare should work. None. Zero. Zilch. It's repeal Obamacare. Replace it. That was what they've been saying since it's been gone, but nothing. So healthcare's big fucking deal. Whether your abortion's your issue, or prison, or civil justice, whatever it is, we all need healthcare. And Republicans have done zero for it. There's nothing they've done but say Medicare needs to be fucking trimmed. We don't need we need to reduce Medicare. All these entitlements, we need to get rid of them. That's the only thing you hear on healthcare. You don't hear anything. Repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act and market-driven healthcare and deregulation. What does that fucking mean? It means leave the market to decide. We know the markets don't work for things like that. For things where it becomes important part of humanity, the markets aren't the best fit. They're driven by profit, not your longevity of life. A great example is cancer treatments right now. They're trying to come up with pills to cure cancer. That to them is way better than coming up with a cure. Don't fucking look at me. This is the real deal. This is what we live in. So you see a lot of pharmaceutical solutions come out of our industry in America, at least, that are either pills or something that you're attached to. They want to have you sucking on that tit forever. Republicans know this. Democrats know this. And by the way, Democrats are not on the easy peasy for this. They're in bed with pharma, and they've done nothing as much as they could on pharma drug prices and the fact that pharma made trillions of dollars from COVID and that money was never recovered. That money ended up going into consultant firms and growing the firms by quadrupling the size of these firms that are sucking on the tit of pharma. I worked for one. Fucking awful consulting farms. Sorry, ZS, but seriously, come on. For Christ's sake, half your workforce can be replaced by AI. No, I'm sorry if you're using ZS. I'm sorry, but it's true. I know I'm not going to win any friends with that one, but it's bad, especially when you see it firsthand. And I was a high-paid individual working at a pharma company. It's fucking ridiculous, the amount of bullshit and the stuff that they're building right now with millions and millions of dollars is all fucking vaporware to try to add more revenue to pharma. It's not to help you. So the healthcare industry is fucked. Republicans have done zero for it. Not even addressed insulin. They couldn't even get that done. Biden had to come in. So I don't know what the Republicans' policy is. I don't know what Donald Trump's plan is other than repeal and replace fucking ACA. That's healthcare. So Republicans, I don't know, repeal and replace. Democrats, there's a whole litany of things they're trying to do for healthcare. But every single fucking turn is socialism. That's why you see nothing happening on the Republican side, because healthcare is a social contract. If we're going to actually share the risk of healthcare, everyone needs to be in the same pool. It's fucking math, actuary science. Motherfuckers, stop playing with me. Immigration, for Christ's sake. The fear of brown people so is involved in the blood of Republicans, they don't even see the racism in their fucking policies. But essentially, it's keep the brown people out. There's what's the word they use? An invasion happening right now at the southern fucking. What the fuck are you talking about? Who's invading this country? These are fucking refugees or leaving political violence or looking for a better life. That's what the fuck they are. That's what that liberty, Statue of Liberty was given to us. We're this beacon of freedom for folks. So let's talk about it in that regard, that these people are looking for refuge. Not that they're convicted rapists and murderers and all the crazy shit that's coming out of the Republican Party. It's always keep those people out. They're taking over. All this kind of language. So if you look at the policies of the Republican Party right now, it's mass deportations. We're going to protect the southern border. As if these people are fucking marching in as terrorists. Bullshit. You can throw me a couple articles about some rapes or some crazy shit that some immigrants did, and I'll throw you 15-1 about shit white people did that is worse or more horrible. So to me, the scariest thing right now in this country is the domestic white terrorists, not the fucking people coming over the border. And by the way, that's not just me. That's the FBI. The FBI did a study, and the most dangerous thing to the United States is the domestic white terrorist. Hell, there was a fucking terrorist today shooting up a school. Probably a white terrorist. I don't know. But every single fucking school shooting seems to be a white male that's been, fucking thwarted by some female or something. I don't know. I don't know what the fucking the archetype is, but it certainly isn't black male that's going to these schools shooting them up. Maybe that's what happened in Georgia. I don't know enough details. But I do know that my fear isn't of the people down south of the border. It's of the fucking local wackos throwing Trump signs up and running around wanting concealed carry and all the other dumb shit they want to make them feel more of a man with their fucking tiny pee-pee. I don't know what it is. I got brothers and stuff that hunt. I think it's fucking weird as shit. I do. I think it's weird to hunt animals. I think it doesn't make you manly. It's not hard. We have all the technology to kill them. Ugh, it's disgusting to me. But anyway, they've decided rather to focus on that, the guns and everything else, they need all that stuff to protect from the invasion. So when you look at the policies of the Republican Party, that's the language they use. You look at the language of the Democrat Party. It's trying to find a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants. They support DACA. They oppose the Trump border wall, which is a fucking retarded, old school. What are we going to do? Make a moat next? I mean, come the fuck on, guys. Real solutions require real thinking, real thought out, well-articulated plans, not just build a wall. Oop, we'll keep them out. like it's fucking 1500, like it's like medieval 13th century, whatever the fuck it is. Climate change. Another big policy issue. Republicans don't believe in climate change. So what's the debate? They're just going to say it doesn't exist. It's bullshit. And so Harris believes that we should rejoin the Paris Accord agreement, the climate agreement. She advocates for aggressive climate action and talking about clean energy. All you hear Donald talking about is wind. What happens when the wind stops blowing? You got real problems then, and sharks and electric boats. That's what he says. You go to the website, they want to withdraw and continue to lead and make the U.S. energy independent, which is essentially drill, baby, drill. That's the fucking thing Trump says. That's their climate plan. So, again, we're at Democrats 3, kind of, you can identify what they're trying to do. They're building something. Or Republicans that are just saying, oh, no, we're just going to leave that go, or just either build a wall up and do dumb shit. Like, it's like the toddler that says, oh, I don't want to look at my problem. I'm just going to wear blinders. Criminal justice reform. Trump did sign the First Step Act, which was a criminal justice reform bill, and he gets credit for that. But he generally supports law and order. He specifically said he wants to give immunity to law officers, cops. I mean, these fucking people that go through 6 weeks of training, maybe they come from the military. I'm sorry, no disrespect to the policemen that are out there doing their job and doing it right. But you see so much corruption. You see so many. I mean, there's shows and TV shows making millions of dollars on all these failed cases. And you know what you notice when you start watching these crime dramas? There's always some dumbass Elmer Fudd bullshit going on with a cop going, well, I decided to trust the psychic this time. Or, well, you know what? I got lucky and I stepped on this. And we didn't want to check out the boyfriend because, God forbid a crime happens. Please, for fucking the love of Christ, do not send me a fucking police officer to solve a crime. I'm sorry. Like, bring in some fucking internet Redditors or some shit. Not these fucking clowns that are doing this shit. So, Trump wants to give these people more immunity so they can continue to do the things they want, rough people up, and then just walk away. They already have systems in place to shield themselves from any fucking bullshit they do. They literally can fuck up somebody and get a job in the next district over. Their union's very strong. These are the same folks, by the way, that are most likely voting for Trump that are anti-union. While they got a union that protects them and makes them essentially an arm of the government and an arm of oppression, I would go so far as to say. If you look at any civil rights movement, it's always been clashes with the cops to get over that hump. So in my mind, officers are the first kind of instrument of government. And you got Republicans saying, ooh, we hate government, but we're going to fund the fucking shit out of the thing that oppresses people for the government. Makes no sense. But if you want to talk policy, Trump wants to give immunity to these people. As a black man, get the fuck out of here. That's a no starter. As someone who got beat up by cops, no. Fuck no. I'd love to see these people be psychologically profiled. I'd love to see them go through like psychological training. Make sure every one of them has a counselor. I mean, they're equipped with a gun to kill. No questions asked. They can get immunity. What the fuck is that? Maybe they don't like me in this fucking shit town. I love this town, by the way. But maybe they don't like me all of a sudden and they just want to set it up for murder. Who's going to catch them? They're fucking immune. It's the bizarrest thing to be on that side of the aisle and say we're the anti-government party, yet we fund the biggest oppressive tool of the government it's ever had is the cops. Yes, I'm not a fan of the cops. I believe the more cops we have, the less safe that area is. You go to an area that has no cops, you feel pretty safe. At least I do. So that's a big no for me. Harris, she was a prosecutor. She was on the Solve Law and Order. I do believe that she has not been on the side of law and order that's tried to put people away that weren't innocent. I believe as a DA, she did a lot to try to work with minority communities to keep them and provide mechanisms for them to re-enter society. That's all I know. Other than that, she could be pro-cop, she could be anti-cop, but I certainly don't hear it in her rhetoric saying, you know, we're just going to give them all the immunity. So on this one, I'm going to say Harris could be equally as maybe not progressive in the justice side of things with the little information I have, but it's a no-brainer when I compare it to Trump. When I compare it to the immunity for police officers, it's ridiculous. The tax policy isn't even worth debating. We know that Trump passed the largest tax cuts for rich people and basically broke the government. So I'm against that. It's easy. I'm not for rich people to have more tax breaks. It just makes no sense. They've already acquired. They don't need anything. Why are we doing anything for the rich people? Like, we should do nothing for them. Like, nothing. They have everything. What the fuck do they need? I don't understand. I don't even understand what they fucking need. Big ass leeches on the government, then also decrying the government simultaneously. Bizarro. So Trump has passed tax policies that have increased the deficit, and it was targeted for his rich friends. Kamala Harris is not going to do that. She's not going to pass tax cuts that only work for the upper class. She wants to pass tax cuts for the middle class. Trump never said that. Never said it. He literally said, I'm going to pass all the tax cuts for his rich friends. That's it. I mean, we can debate it, but that's what happened. So, abortion rights. I mean, that's clear as day where Trump stands. Pass it to the states. Pass it. I mean, what the fuck is that? That means that if you're a woman traveling across the country and you're pregnant, you got to check to see what state you're in, whether or not you're going to die or not if something happens with your pregnancy. True story. It's untenable. It doesn't even make sense. Oh, we're just going to allow slavery in these 4 states. How about that? How about maybe you can't pop boners in these 4 states, dudes? I mean, this is invasive, right? It's kind of crass. But what you're saying to women is your vagina is under our purview depending on where you're at. And we may need to do some extra checking to see what's going on with you depending on what state you're at. That's the Republican policy right now. Why? I mean, we can debate it. I'm anti getting involved between a woman and her doctor in any situation. I don't know anything about it. I don't care what it is. I don't care if she's pregnant. I don't care what's going on. That's her issue between her and her doctor. And possibly if she wants to have a conversation with whoever the man was. It's her choice, to be honest. It's not brutal. That's trusting that women will make the right decision for themselves. I actually think women are capable of deciding for themselves. I'm certainly not going to have any input in it. I got a fucking family member that's like got all fucking pro-life craziness, writing books and doing dumb shit. I find it so fucking bizarre that he's so infatuated with this issue. It's like, bro, you're a man, you got a family. Why would you want to limit the reproductive rights of somebody else when you've already got your whole thing going on? It's the weirdest fucking thing, and I'm saying it because I'm so tired of this shit. It's weird to support these policies if you're a man. I think that's bizarre. I don't know why men want to say, oh, it's a child. And get the fuck out of it. Just stay out of it. I honestly don't know shit about women's reproductive health care. I don't. I know women bleed and they have menstrual cycles, and I know that they have to take care of them. There's a lot of maintenance to be a woman in this world. It's not going to really get me out of bed thinking, oh, how can I make it hard for women to fucking control their bodies? It's bizarro. So for me, it's very simple. You're a big government, or you're anti-big government, but yet you want to be in someone's room. Well, it's because it's murder. It's not murder. It's not murder. This person has no social security number. They're not born. We have to talk about reality, and what we have right now is a whole party that's living in this delusional, utopian, religious bubble. And it's a weird bubble because the guy in the center of it is this fucking con man who's then using these religious feelings and subtext to create this aura that he's pro-life. The guy's probably had more abortions than most of the people, in this state. I guarantee it. I guarantee you Trump has had at least 1 or 2 abortions. Just guaranteed. 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 He wanted Marla Maples to abort Tiffany. I'm not saying it's wrong for him to have that conversation. I'm just saying it's weird to hoist him up as pro-life. But Republicans have won on this issue. So, in my opinion, it's Democrats on the defense now and trying to get back the right for women to have autonomy on their body because they nullified Roe v. Wade. And now in Texas, you can actually make money finding women that are looking to have an abortion and get paid $10,000. So you could become like a post, what is it? What do you want to call it? You're basically like a pregnancy sheriff, and you're walking around with your little holster. Oh shit! Don't tell me my fucking thing stopped. Hold on, my camera froze. Fucker. God damn it. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know how long that was frozen. That sucks. So, if you heard me, hopefully you heard me. You didn't. I don't know if that was freezing or what. Looks like some things were moving. No, it was frozen. Maybe the sound was coming through. Who knows? Fucking hey, I hate when that happens. Anyway, so abortion. Again, it's clear as day. Harris is a strong advocate for abortion rights. Again, believes in codifying Roe v. Wade. Keep the government out of the bedroom. Foreign policy. Trump was a total disaster. I don't know where it comes from that he had the respect of nations. He didn't. The only people that might have liked him was Kim Jong-un and fucking Putin. That's the people that might have had respect for Trump. Maybe the Saudi prince probably had his back too. But other than that, it was a disaster. And no, Europe isn't somebody we don't want to have a union with. It's bizarre to think that we're going to allow Russia to just kind of march all over Europe. But according to Trump, that was his policy. He didn't give a fuck about Ukraine. He actually didn't give a fuck about Ukraine. He cared more about trying to soil the Bidens with the information he had from the Ukrainian fucking spy masters over there. So I think Harris wants to take us back to a norm, aligned with our NATO allies, which was, probably post-World War II, was one of the most important alliances that we've ever made. And it's kept peace for a long time until, of course, Vladimir Putin starts to march across Eastern Europe. But we know that Trump is a fan of Putin. He never says anything bad about Putin. I guess Putin saw him pissing on a hooker or something. I don't know what it is. I don't know what he has on. Maybe it's money. Maybe he has access to unlimited piles of money because it's Russian mafia. I mean, they can do whatever the fuck they want. But foreign policy has been a disaster. And if you're suggesting that we were strong and it was all bravado, and quite frankly, all the generals that worked for him said he was a putz. So I'm not buying it. Gun control. I mean, we know where the Republicans stand on gun control. They don't give a fuck. We just had a shooting. Nothing is going to be done. They're going to say, hey, this is the time to talk about politics and keep moving the conversation to some place that they're more comfortable. And that is just talking about how important it is for them to have their gun rights. It doesn't matter that kids are in schools fucking scared as shit. It's bizarro. Again, admittedly, no children to speak of. I can't imagine sending my kid to school and them coming back and saying, hey, today we had a fucking shooting drill. Like, it's bizarre that you guys have allowed it. And then you have people talking about, well, we just need more guns in school. So Republicans' policy on gun control is free for all. Pew, pew, pew. Democrats want common sense legislation. Tim Walz is a hunter. Again, I'm not saying I respect any fucking hunters. Sorry. I just don't think it's that magical. I got friends that hunt. They sit out and they're like, hey, you want to play Magic? No, I'm hunting. I make fun of them. Like, you never fucking catch anything. You fucking sit outside in the cold. What do you do if you catch? I mean, it's really not an act of skill to me. I fucking shit you not. Take me out hunting. I would fucking get something first time. What the fuck are you guys doing? They're animals. Pathetic. Weak. But Republicans believe that beyond hunting, you should be able to carry machine guns. Whatever. Open carry is what they really want. Most Republicans that are stalwart gun people are fucking nutty, and they don't have any common sense about what's right and what reasonable. If you were in my world, as I said before on this podcast, I'm saying you can have access to anything, any weapon the military has, you can have access to. But it's going to require some regulation, a lot of regulation. Like if you want a tank, you've got to go through psychological profile. You've obviously got to have the money. You've obviously got certain locations you can use this device at. Yeah, in my world, liberals are going to hate it, but I'm like, yeah, well, fuck, sure, you can have any weapon you want. But there's a fucking big but, and that's major regulation. Like if you want a bazooka, sure, but it has to be stored in a safe place. It can't be taken out of public. It has to be only be loaded at this location where it's in the middle of a field where it's safe or whatever it is. You have professional munition experts right there while you're using it. I mean, I'm talking massive amounts of regulation just to fire that thing, just to load it. But sure, if you want to go through that, I'll put a path that you can own a bazooka. It's going to be tough. But Republicans wouldn't like it. They don't want any regulations. They just want it to be able to, hey, you go to a gun show, you pick up a gun, you walk out, you're good. Fucking pew, pew, pew. Meanwhile, we have schools being shot up as we speak. There is nothing but thoughts and prayers coming from the Republican Party. Nothing but thoughts and prayers on the gun issue. That's a fact. So these policies that I think that the Democrats stand for, at least they try for, at least they talk about, it's an easy choice for me. I'm not basing any of this on any religious context that I have. I'm basing it on literally common sense, social contract. What's the best thing for everybody? It's not that difficult to figure out. So rather than do a line by line policy comparison, I picked out the highlights. And I picked out the highlights that a lot of people, there's probably an issue in there that you care about. Maybe not tax policy. Maybe you care about abortion rights. Maybe foreign policy is your big thing for whatever reason. If you're in Pennsylvania and you're sitting here talking about the fucking border, I'm just literally going to ignore you. I'm going to ignore you because there's no, I mean, Lloyd Smucker walks around talking about the fucking border. I'm just like, what border? What is Virginia doing what's West Virginia doing to us? Is Ohio on us? Is Delaware fucking with us? What border? New York? Are they coming over from New York, Lloyd? I mean, come on. Well, Nate, it's the southern border. I mean, we got lots of states between them, and I'm not even worried about it. So you're telling me that a bunch of people without weapons are going to invade this country? They're going to come through Texas? I'm not fucking worried. It's bizarre. So a lot of the things that you hear from Republican policy makers and Republican Party, including Trump, is fear-based. It's fear. It's saying, hey, you have this irrational fear. Well, we've got a solution for it. So when I debate somebody who has a whole bunch of irrational fears and they've got all these solutions for their irrational fears, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how do I begin this debate? Do I break down each one of your irrational fears? Do I start talking about the language you use when you're describing the policy? Because that's wrong. So it's very difficult. I got the nudge to say, oh, you want to debate, you should debate more. I'm not fun to debate because I make the person look stupid, and I unless I'm trying to persuade them, then I'll take the time to help them understand. But if someone's so tied to their belief that there's no way to persuade them off of it, and they're believing that, the world's run by magic leprechauns, I'm just going to fucking walk out and I'm going to say, you know what? That person's too stupid to debate. And right now, what I find very difficult is I can't really debate anyone that supports Trump because I think they've already crossed the threshold of retarded because of their support for Trump. I mean, it's clear as day that he's got narcissistic personality disorder, like clear as day. And if you don't know what that is, it just means he's fucked up. He doesn't give a fuck about you. There's some psychopathy in there. There's some, he could be considered, sociopathy a little bit. sociopathic. But it's not normal shit, and it means that he doesn't really give a fuck about you. He's only concerned about himself in all situations. There's not a scenario where he's not in a zero-sum game looking at what's in it for me. There's not one. It's a defect. There's literally a category for this type of person. And we hoisted him into the president of the United States. So for me, when somebody says, hey, you don't debate enough, I'm like, okay, bring someone. I mean, even Ben Shapiro. You got Ben Shapiro on here. You got Charlie Kirk, who's a fucking moron. Ben Shapiro's at least a little brighter, uses more articulate words. He's more eloquent. But Charlie Kirk is a moron. We just found out that some of the largest conservative social media folks were being funded by Russia. So everything's so they're being fed propaganda, and then they're on the top layer of information coming into the Republican bubble. You've got this, you've got Dan Bongino, you've got all these Tucker Carlson, all these fucking people that are supposed to be the talking heads, and they're just throwing out misinformation and bullshit. And so you walk into a debate with a Trump person or even a Republican that's sold on that bullshit, and where do you start? You're over here talking about reality, and they're living in a fantasy world where unicorns fly down and magic monkeys are there to steal your bread. And I'm like, I don't know, man. That seems like Harry Potter or some shit. So I don't have time to debate folks that are supporting Republicans right now. I don't. I'm sorry. But there's not Republican policy that makes sense for me. In fact, I don't see Republican policies that make sense for most of America. But somehow you've got the plebeians, the fucking motherfuckers that are buying this shit out there selling it en masse and holding on to it and standing there with confidence saying, debate me about it. I don't know, man. I'm not going to debate you about fucking unicorns running the world. I'm just not going to. It's just like the flat earth people. I'm not going to debate the fucking globe with you. I'm just not. Well, what's your proof? I don't have any proof. Well, then you're wrong. Okay, fine. Peace be with you. What are you going to do? They believe the world's fucking flat. And we got all this evidence. We've got like pictures of the world. And they still believe that it's flat. These are real people. A couple on my friends list. So I guess I wanted to start tonight's, and I called it Where's the Party At? Because right now, for me to debate somebody about Republican policies, they're vague. They're platitudes. They're broken promises of repealing and replacing and doing things that they never have done before and they never plan on doing, but they put it in the lexicon so you repeat it and you walk around saying, oh, Republican policies, go look at their website. Okay, I did look at their website. I still learned nothing. Nothing. There's nothing to learn about the Republicans. You know what they're going to do. Their goal is to defend. It's so easy to be a conservative right now because all you got to do is say no to anything. That's the Republican agenda. And by the way, some folks are all about it. Some people believe that things should stay the same. They're scared of change. And so they continue to vote the way they vote, and they complain, and they love the complaining too. They can complain about the other side, how it's all the other sides because they didn't get their vote. No one understands their policies. They don't fucking understand their policies. If I were a Republican and I heard them say they're going to repeal and replace the ACA, and it's 2024, and that thing passed in 2010, 14 years, what the fuck are you doing? Where's your plan? And they just keep getting away with saying, we're just going to repeal and replace it. We're going to, it's in there. It's in the document. Every single document since that ACA was passed says that Republicans plan on repealing the ACA. They've not done it. Yet every single fucking time, this is what they run on. And I have people in my inbox saying, well, yeah, their healthcare is to get rid of the ACA, which fucked everything up. It was better before that. No, it wasn't. It was not. We're trying to bend the curve of healthcare. The costs were skyrocketing. They did bend the curve, actually. Of course, COVID happened and the curve went back up. But it's difficult to define a debate when you don't know where the party stands. And so I titled this episode, Where's the Party At? Because if I can find where the Republican Party's at, I will go there. A real, like, not fantasizing, not conspiratorial, a real, like, live Republican Party that's vibrant, full of ideas, not hate. I'm ready to debate it. But right now, there is nothing in the Republican Party that stands to make it worth debating, because every single fucking thing that they're standing on is bullshit. They don't believe in climate change. They believe that brown people are coming to get us. The ACA is bad. Public health care is bad. Anything that you want to try to do that involves a social contract is socialism, except for their fucking police force. Then they want to unionize and be all social and carry the blue line. We're a community. And we'll give that community immunity since they can fuck up brown people. I mean, that's what it feels like the Republican plan is. It feels like the Republican Party is there to protect whiteness. I said it. I said it. What the fuck are you going to do about it, though? That's the real thing. Like, you don't care, probably. If you're a Republican watching this, you're probably like, yeah, Nate, you're just bitter. I'm fucking bitter, as I grew up in a pretty upper-class white family. I have a good career path. I'm not bitter. I'm just calling the system out for what it is. And it is racist. And the Republican Party has decided to align themselves with the racist wing of that party. They've hoisted a racist into their leadership role. And it's trickling down just like they want. The fucking racism's trickling down into the language. They've got brown people they're scared of. They've got this whole idea that immigration, their fight against illegal immigration is really against illegal immigration. It's really against the loss of their whiteness. I mean, let's just fucking be honest about it, guys. Stop playing with yourself. And for all my white friends and white people that watch this, you ain't doing enough. You ain't doing a fucking enough. That's for sure. So I'm not trying to cause any white guilt, but I hope you do have plenty, because the fact that we sit in the system, like, you know, if you live in America right now, you know that being a black person in America is a lot harder than being a white person, but you're okay with that. Most likely you're okay with that. You're going to vote Republican. Most of the people that are completely okay with that vote Republican. I know a lot of liberal Democrats, though, too, that don't give a fuck either. So I'm just going to I'm just going to swipe it a wide range and just paint it with a broad stroke and say, I don't think white people are doing enough against racism, and a lot of those white folks exist in the Republican Party. So, let's see. What did I talk about? Healthcare, immigration, climate change, criminal justice, tax policy, abortion rights, foreign policy, gun control. Only a couple issues. That's not even touching on the LGBTQ issues that they totally disregard. They disregard a whole demographic because it doesn't go along with their religion, or they're so insistent there can only be two genders, and I don't really like it if there's more. Motherfucker, this is the real world. There's a lot of things you're not going to like that exist, and you're going to have to come to acceptance. So Republicans won't come to acceptance with LGBTQ. They're fighting against it on every turn. Another huge red flag for me, and not something I'm willing to debate. Oh, well, let's debate whether or not they should have rights, or they should feel accepted, or they should be discriminated against. I mean, we can have that debate, but you're going to be wrong. So I don't understand. If you bring your religion into it, I'm like, yep, see, there you go. Keep your religion out of my fucking government, because I'm here for everybody's religion, not just yours. Don't give a fuck. The only thing I'll listen to from your religion is the golden rule. Everything else, back the fuck up and keep it out of the state. I'm sorry. So you go through and you get these challenges to debate, and you look at the policies. You're like, okay, what are we going to debate? We're going to debate stupid again. We're going to debate whether or not a gay person should have rights. We're going to debate whether or not climate change is real. We're going to debate whether or not brown people are invading the country. We're going to debate whether or not public health care is a good thing. These are all stupid debates that you're going to lose, because common sense says I'm right. Humanity says I'm right. We know the right thing to do is take care of everybody. Bring in your religion now. Let's talk about what your religion suggests we do. The meek will inherit the earth, for Christ's sake. I know people get real upset when I start quoting scripture, so I'm going to pull back. But my frustration comes with trying to challenge or debate something when it's not been defined or when it's defined on crazy. And for me, the Republican Party right now is at the point of crazy. There's not something to debate. They don't have any tangible or real ideals. They've been lost on Trumpism. Bring them back, articulate them, talk about how they're going to benefit everybody and not just the few, and then we'll start having real debates. But we haven't had that Republican Party since Reagan, to be honest with you. I'm just saying, guys, that's the real truth. Reagan fucked it up for Republicans. He basically brought corporate personification into the system, essentially giving corporations a lot more leverage, and from there they just took off. So that's where I believe the downfall came, and we should have reelected Jimmy Carter. You heard it from me first. It's true. All right. Anyway, listen, I'm getting out of my bounds here. All I wanted to do was just talk about the fact that I get challenged. I'd love to meet those challenges, but it's very difficult when you're fighting against, fairies and green dragons as opposed to the real world that we live in. And so until Republicans come up with tangible plans that actually make sense and aren't based on falsehoods or fear, it's not worth debating. The Democrats, with all their flaws, and trust me, there's many, at least aren't off the cliff on crazy. And that's what's keeping me a Democrat right now. But I started this Smash the Party hating on Democrats, hating on Republicans, hating the party structure. So don't get it twisted. I may be liberal and progressive or whatever the fuck you want to call it. If you're an idiot, you probably say woke like a fucking moron. That's another. As soon as you say woke, it's like, oh God, I don't even know anyone that uses that word. It's the weirdest pejorative ever. Hey, I care about people. Oh, that's bad. Okay. So I titled this "Where's the Party?" because I wanted to make sure that anybody that wants to come in my inbox that wants to debate, I'm willing to do it, but I won't do it based on the knowledge that I have of the Republican Party right now and where their platform is and where their plans are. And to be opposed to any of the Democratic platforms that I just listed is ridiculous. It makes no sense to me, and it tells me that you don't really understand how important the social contract is and that it's not all about you. And that a lot of these things require, and why they're difficult for Republicans to do, is because they've made it seem like everything you do in this country is on your own. And a lot of the things that Democrats talk about require us to pull resources together and do things. Get the fuck out of your head with that socialism crap. It's just like the fire company or anybody else. When you want to pull together a bunch of people to do something, you pull your resources together. There's a lot of policy plans that could benefit from us thinking and working together. The reason why China's going to eat our lunch is because they fucking move in a monolith. They don't think, they just do. They've been doing a lot of crazy good shit over there. They have high-speed trains. They have fucking healthcare and shit. The country is fucking slaughtering us. They have more millionaires made in that country in the last 10 years than we do in the United States. Oh, what do you mean? That's a communist country. How could they have millionaires? Yeah, you got to fucking open up your eyes, right? And I'm not all sitting here all pro-China. But it becomes difficult to have conversations with people when they're not speaking the same language. They don't understand some of the nuance. And I'm not sitting here as a policy expert. Mehdi Hassan, one of my idols as far as it comes to political commentary, he's, head and shoulder above me on the eloquence and the articulation of different policies. And he gets into that nuance much better than I do. My forte is to pick a topic and break it apart and put it in layman's terms and try to make a persuasive argument for how I feel about it. That's what this show has been, and sometimes people are moved by it. But I can't do that when we're living in this fantasy world that the language, the policies, and the intentions behind them make no sense to me. And so they're non-starters for being realistic solutions. And so that's why they're easy to cut down. They just don't make sense. You can easily break down any Republican policy of the list I talked about and show why it won't work. You can do it so easily. And why it won't work is because it comes down to who is this benefiting? It's not benefiting the right people when you start talking about Republican policies. And when you really get down to it, One party's working for the rich and another party is commandeered by the rich, but also has policies in place for the rest of us. It is not perfect. I would love to see public health care, universal health care, be like a key platform for the Democrats. Like, no holds bars. Let's get fucking public health care and free health care for, not free, but shared health care funding for everybody. Single payer, whatever you want to call it. Let's do it. So I'm not saying that Democrats have everything perfect, but they're starting on a reasonable plane. They're starting in reality. They're not saying, oh, everything's their fault. They're saying, hey, this is something we need to fix. You look at the Republican platform and it's blaming everyone else. It's like a weird ass toddler. And then, oh no, I close my eyes, climate change won't happen. Oh no, wind is bad because when the wind blows, it just nothing matters, like nothing happens. I mean, these stupid ideas that come from the top are filtering down to the little minions, the translators, and it's just chaos. And so it becomes very difficult to debate those folks. So I'm going to wrap because I know I probably pissed off some people and I probably was a little bit inarticulate in my rage. But, you know, I don't mind the inbox. I don't mind folks jabbing me. I get jabbed every fucking day. Probably more things come in my inbox than you would be comfortable with, honestly. But I take it and I look at some of those challenges as, you know, I get annoyed because I'd love to take the challenge of actually having a debate with a Republican. I would love it. I would do it on camera with anybody. I don't care who the fuck it is. Bill Buckley, for Christ's sake, who I hold in high esteem. I will go toe to toe. I might lose, but I believe firmly in the facts and I believe firmly in the thinking process that I came to that got me that conclusion. So I'm going to be able to defend it with fervency. Might lose. But that's debating Bill Buckley, who would be in a world of reality. He wouldn't be fantasizing or creating ill fears or, you know, the brown people are coming to get us. He was actually much more, you know, the Republican. When I think of Will Buckley, I think he's more aligned with libertarians now. But again, you know how I feel about libertarians when they ride the fence. But I do want debate. I do want to talk policy. I do want to get into it. But we got to start with reality. And when you start talking about abortion is murder, it's a non-starter. If you're going to say that, then that essentially puts the language into a place where I have to defend whether or not abortion's murder. And it's not murder. We know that because no one's being convicted of murder, even though you would like that to happen, which is fucking weird. It's not murder. So we're not going to call it murder. So if we start out a conversation about abortion and you say abortion's murder, I'm going to say, all right, so we are already on different paths because you don't respect healthcare. You don't believe it's women's healthcare. And that's fucked up. If you do believe it's women's healthcare, then what the fuck are you talking about it for, Mr. Bomberger? It's so weird. So I know that's so weird isn't going to be persuasive, and I'm not trying to persuade anybody today, I promise. I'm literally just putting it out there that when there's a solid Republican Party that we can stand on, we can talk about real issues, and they can provide data saying, hey, this is really happening, and not just fear-mongering, then it's worthy of debate. And I think that it'll also be beneficial for the Republicans because they'll have lost the albatross that was Trump, and they will have an identity again other than Trump. And I think that if Republicans can have an identity outside of Trump, maybe they can come around to start looking at some of their policies and start talking about the things that make sense, and then we can have a debate. Just to put it out there, Liz Cheney is voting for Kamala Harris. Liz Cheney was somebody that I never had on my bingo card to vote Democratic this year. 5 years ago, 10 years ago. No chance. A Cheney's voting Republican, even if she's a lesbian, no chance. But this year she's voting Republican or voting Democrat. And so when you have these people in the party that are stalwart Republicans voting Democrat, you have to, as a Republican, you have to start saying, why are all these people? Are they just selling out? Do they really hate Donald Trump? Do they know something I don't? Yes, they do. Obviously, if you're still supporting Trump and you're seeing party leaders leave Trump and saying he's bad for the party, they know something. They know that he's bad for the party, and he has been bad for the party. He's been bad for down ballot races. He's going to be bad for down ballot races this November. So if you're out there wanting to debate with me or anybody else and you're a Trumper, you need to do some soul searching and hope that the Republican Party can rebrand itself into a new party. And then you can actually start having serious conversations with the adults in the room, looking at real problems with real data and not just basing it on fears and my fucking wants and needs, but the wants and needs of the collective. It so triggers you when I say that, doesn't it? When I say the collective. Because you've been brainwashed into thinking that anything that takes more than one person other than yourself is socialism or Marxism or whatever the fuck it is. And it's the most bizarrest, weirdest lie that you bought. So, in closing, where's the Republican Party at? Where's the party at? I don't fucking know. They're still around Trump, and so until they get off of Trump, they're undebatable because they live in this. I mean, look at Jim Jordan. The guy is literally like he's like a badger, and there's nothing productive coming out of him. He's done nothing for his constituents except cost them taxpayer dollars. Nothing. And that's one of the Republican leaders right now in Congress, who's a hardcore Trumper. That guy cannot debate. He didn't pass his bar. He's a moron. And I would love to sit across from him. His style of arguing almost reminds me of like kind of how brothers might argue. And it's so childish and so easy to thwart. He's like, well, so are you, but what am I? It's that kind of stuff. It's worse than what this podcast looks like today. I promise. It's just bad. So in closing, I'm not going to debate anybody on Republican policy because the policy's shit. And it's easy to see that, especially when you look at read the fine line, the fine print. There is none. There's nothing behind it. Go to Donald Trump's website, click on the bottom where it says see more of the GOP platform, and read that 16-page document. It'll take you 15 minutes. It's even bullet pointed. Probably made special for Donald Trump. Nothing in there. Nothing in their debate. Nothing you don't know. It's all about them saying no and creating fear. So this moment in time may come back and bite me because right now I'm feeling very confident about the Democrats' chances to get rid of this boil on America's ass, which is Donald Trump. He's a big fucking boil on our ass. And so I'm being bold by saying I'm not willing to talk about Republican ideals until they lose them. And I hope for their sake that they do lose them this November, because if they don't, it's not going to be good for anybody. And it's not going to be good for the Republican brand. They're never going to lose Trump if he gets another term. They're never going to lose. It'll be 25 years of Trumpism. It doesn't matter if he gets in office and he passes, maybe he's 85 or whatever the fuck age he is, and he goes away. They will hold him. They'll want to put his fucking face on the dollar bill. I guarantee it. So let's just hope that he doesn't win for the sake of the country, for the sake of those Republicans out there holding on and voting for Kamala. I understand. I'm hoping more of you will. We can end this nightmare if we get rid of this clown. We get back to real topics and real issues and have a real Republican Party that stands for the people and not just the elite and Donald Trump and his friends right now. I don't know what you think of today's. I thought yesterday's was better. So look, Ken, I know you're going to hate it no matter what. So fucking leave your comments in my inbox like you do. But I think it's an interesting time, and we're going to see what happens to the Republican Party. We're going to find out where the Republican Party is at after November, because if Donald Trump wins, we know exactly where the Republican Party is going to be. If Donald Trump loses, it's an opportunity for Republicans to rebuild and rebrand and get back that whatever they had before that actually was reasonable and at least somewhat coming from logical areas They've never gone away from the brown people thing. Again, they're not going to lose that no matter what. They're always going to have the brown people because, again, Republican Party is protecting whiteness. I say it again. Republican Party is protecting whiteness for this country. And that is something that appeals to a lot of white males in this country. True story. White males, baby. You guys all made it scared of black people, but it was the white males you fucking should have been watching out for. I know you're a white male and you're probably triggered. It's okay. That's all I got tonight, folks. I know I was a little haphazard tonight. My fucking office is burning up. I don't know why. I'm going to have to complain to my landlord. But no excuses. I got up late, got here, didn't have a lot of time to prep. But I did have some strong feelings I wanted to share. And if you watch this show, and sometimes you learn something and sometimes you don't, it's my fucking show. And sometimes I want to cry and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I want to share things that emote. Sometimes I'm going to sound articulate. Sometimes I'm going to talk about policy and you're going to love it. Other times I'm going to say, fuck you. Look up your own policy. Look up your own shit. Do your own research. This is commentary. It's for my own benefit. It's my art. You can criticize it. You can hate it. But I'm not going to change it for you. Okay? That's the first thing. I get a lot of patriarchal bullshit about how I should do things in my inbox from these same folks. You got to listen. I'm going to do me. Not changing. Yes, you want to see interviews and all that shit, and I promise some shit, but this is my show, and I'm going to do what the fuck I want. And for now, we're going to continue to snub our noses at Republicans that want to debate, because when we look at the facts of the case and we look at what they're going to debate, we know that they're not operating in the same plane. So, ex-nay, ote. I don't know if that was Pig Latin or not. All right, let me wrap and say something good. I love everybody that engages. I don't care. I know I'm feisty. I get pissy. I get annoyed really quick. I have a short fuse for stupidity. True story. Don't fucking tolerate it. Like there's some things I just don't tolerate. Like you're not a retard. So stop fucking acting stupid. So I get frustrated. But I will say that for whatever reason, my numbers are really good lately. And I don't know what's wrong with Facebook. I don't know what's wrong with it. It shows, like, sometimes it'll show my post. There's nobody that's on it. Nobody. Nobody looks at it, 50 views. And then I'll go to my analytics and they'll be great. So I'm trying to reconcile that. I mean, do a lot of people know about my show? I don't know. But it feels like people around here should at least know. I haven't done any advertising on it at all since I came back. But the numbers are good. But it's hard to see when you look at, I'll go through my feed. I'm like, all right, well, there's not really a lot of engagement here. But I've got 75,000 impressions. I think that's good. So, you know, I mean, if I were to think like an advertiser local, you get in front of 75,000 people in Lancaster, that's a good deal, right? I mean, I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to say thank you because the numbers are good. Facebook's giving me checks. I know it's weird. They're not like big checks, but they're little tiny checks that I get for my little posts. I'm not doing it for that, but something's working because they're paying me and they up my category to creators. So I'm allowed to get more benefits on other stuff. I'm only telling you this because Facebook wants my content. You guys don't. They're paying me. You're not. Fucking click, like it, subscribe. But the true thing I really love is to get off Facebook completely. I know that's not good to say on this platform, but I would love to see my YouTube get to 100. 100 people. Someday I'll get to 100. It'll be a golden day. I don't know what I'm going to do. But Facebook is very difficult to navigate as far as like looking at content. I don't like looking at content on Facebook. I've been avoiding Facebook. And so I would love to just completely get away from Instagram and Facebook completely and just be on YouTube. It's a long shot. I've looked at Rumble. I've looked at other crazy platforms just to try to get away from Facebook. But the numbers keep on pulling me and saying, oh, you're doing good. I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing good anymore. So I need to do some kind of digging on what those impressions mean. Maybe someone can inbox me and say, oh, you got 75,000 impressions. That's not shit. I don't know. Maybe it is. But I'm still happy. I'm still enjoying this. And by the way, I know I've been off kilter, dealing with some health issues, dealing with some personal issues. All those things are resolved now, for real resolved. And so I'm hoping to light it up again. I'm hoping to be back on top. But I promise you, I'm not gonna kind of lose my game I'm not gonna kind of step back and debate stupidity. So I refuse. I do a good job of cleaning up comments. I don't let dumb shit on my page. I try to keep it clean. So if somebody happens to land there, they don't see like 50 people saying, "Oh, this is retarded." I just like, no, if you're going to criticize a fact, you're gone. I block. Done. So if you're still on my page and you've went back and forth with me, I'm not going to block someone that's arguing with me. I'm going to block someone that's going to post things like libtard or abortion's murder. If someone posts abortion is murder on my page, they're blocked. I don't need that person. They're not living in the same world that I'm living in, and I don't think there's any convincing them. And so I don't need the engagement. And other people would say, "Oh, Nate, you shouldn't do that. You need the engagement." I don't fucking care. I'm not going to have these idiots come to my page and say stupid things and just let it there. Like, I have the prerogative to delete the comment. I will. I'll block that person, get them off, because it's dumb. It's like being somewhere and let's say you're giving a speech and everybody's shouting out and saying things to you. You'd be like, what the fuck is this? I'm saying something. You want to wait until the end and we have questions. And then they ask you, some dumbass question. You're like, get the fucking person out of here. That's the kind of person I would be. Like, that question's so stupid. You got to go. You got to go. Sorry, you wasted my time. Go. I do the same thing on my page. So someone might tell me that hurts my engagement, but I can't do it. My OCD kicks in and I'm like, ugh. I can't have that dirt on my page. So, I know there's a lot I could be doing better and things I probably could change up, but I just refuse to compromise on the idiots. I can't believe I'm in the same room with all these idiots. I can't allow them to fill my room with idiots, with their idiocracy. And by the way, this doesn't mean anybody that's engaged with me that said something I don't like is an idiot. I promise. It's not that simple. I wish it was. But you know what you are. You know who you are. You're an idiot when you're constantly looking for negativity on every fucking thing I do, and you don't have any insightful things to say. It's just boring. So you'll probably get blocked. That being said, I'm going to get off. I will be back tomorrow, 10:30. If you have interest in anything that you want me to talk about, any fucking thing, within 10 minutes of the show, I've actually put together shows and had brilliant shows. And I've actually asked listeners to send me a topic, and they would send me a topic. And there's several of my episodes where I did that off the cuff and went for an hour or two, whatever. I enjoy that. I enjoy randomly talking. It's good for my health, and maybe boring to you, but certainly if you have something you want me to talk about or touch on, I'm happy to talk about it. I'm not going to debate anybody on stupid, but once we get the Republican Party back to normal, then we can start debating them. But right now, we just need to get rid of Donald Trump at all costs. That's not debatable. It's not debatable. I appreciate all the love. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube if you're watching this. Sorry about the freeze frame thing that happened. It happens. It's life. It's life of the one-man show. But I'll be back tomorrow at 10:30, and I'll be lighting it up. If you have an idea or something you want me to talk about, let me know. I'll try to talk about it. That's all I got. Enjoy your evening. I will see you tomorrow. Peace. Let's see if I can get an outro here.